the memo. Derrick Rose can go upstairs.
Episode 88 to Gimme the Hot Sauce is live. I am Mark Shanowski here in the Hustle and Flow studios in Palatine. As you can see, I'm all by myself. Stacey's still convalescing, getting better. Timmy Whispers is doing some high business dealings. Where is he, in Phoenix or something like that? But
he's in Arizona. He's in Arizona at the nude beach.
Hey, you better be careful. It's about 114 degrees. You might fry something off down there, you know?
Hey, listen, you got to have any sunscreen on. You know what happens when you wear sunscreen? Look like Larry the Lobster.
Yeah, he will be Larry the Lobster when he comes back. No question about it. So Stacey's joining us from his home. And unfortunately, the ongoing health issues are going on. Stacey, how are you feeling? Update the folks on what's going on.
America, I'm back. I'm back, America. I just have to take it easy, man. Anytime you have hip replacement surgery, as good as it may feel, there are some possibilities of some setbacks. And so this week, I had to go in to make sure that there's no infection,
right?
And it's funny, Mark, they wanted to, because I was having some leakage, some drainage issues, the wound wasn't clearly healing and they didn't know why. And so that's the reason why they went back in the second surgery. So yesterday I went in to see if the leakage has stopped. They wanted me to walk to two buildings that were like 3 or 4 blocks away just to see if the activity would make the wound bleed. So now you got to understand that my doctor, whose brilliant idea was to make me walk 3 blocks, he had me not do any exercises for 2 weeks so this could heal up. So you can imagine not doing anything for 2 weeks except just doing basic functional things around the house. The last thing I expected was to walk 2 blocks. so
get me an Uber,
Mark. So I'm walking with my son. and the nurse. Okay. Yeah. So we're walking from one building to another, and my calves are starting to burn because they have no work. They've had no work. So I'm starting to cramp up. One cramp, boom, another comes up. Now I'm like the Tin Man. I'm just breaking down. I need some oil in the joints, right? So my son goes, "Hey, are you okay, Dad?" I'm like, "Oh, I can't move anymore. My calves locked up." So they had to go get me a wheelchair. So my son got me a wheelchair and he wheeled me around. So we had to go check into Rush Medicals, because we had to do a procedure. So I'm sitting in this wheelchair. I see this lady. She got to be about 55, 60 years old. She's got a electric wheelchair. She's flying up and down the hallway, right? So I started to think for a second. I started to think like a criminal. So I had this criminal intake in my head because I'm sitting here, I'm in this raggedy wheelchair that looks like something out of World War II, and she's got like an electric wheelchair. So I asked the girl, I said, "Can I get one of those? Those are sweet. I need one of those." And she goes, "Oh, no, that's hers." Oh, Mark, hey, Mark, I thought about it for a split second. I almost wheelchair jacked her. I almost did, Mark, but it would have been in broad daylight. They would have saw me, babe. I was right in front of Panera Bread. They would have caught me.
Yeah, and at 6'11", you can't hide either. So I don't think you would have got away with that crime.
And limping over there with tight calves, they would have caught me.
You paint quite the word picture there. Hey, let's talk about some of the news going on in the NBA. We are recording this on Thursday afternoon, and the big story coming out of the Valley of the Sun, DeAndre Ayton is going to sign an offer sheet, a maximum offer sheet, 4 years, $133 million with the Indiana Pacers. But Woj is reporting that the Phoenix Suns are going to match it and keep him. That's significant in and of itself. But what it means is they're out of the Kevin Durant derby because they can't include Ayton in the trade. He can't be traded again until January 15th. What's your take on Phoenix? It looks like they're going to keep DeAndre Ayton.
Well, they're forced to because, what they were trying to do was basically do a signing trade or put him in a position, a package to move that would benefit them. They're in the same situation, Mark, any team is. If you got a kid that's a star player that I don't think they were happy with him. I think you want to blame him for the loss against Dallas. But there's a lot of blame to go around. Chris Paul, not playing like Chris Paul in that series. Guys not making shots, Jay Crowder. But him being a big guy, I think he took a lot of the brunt of the loss. And they've been trying to move him since. And in their eyes, they're like, okay, if we can get a sign and trade or a deal that's benefited to us, a player that we can get back that we can package up later and some draft picks, let's do it. But now you're forced, because he's a restricted free agent, you can't lose him for nothing. So now it's like, okay, and I don't believe they thought anyone would be able to put a package together to get him an offer sheet, because no other team was talking Ayton the whole time. Indiana was the only one that was in the sweepstakes. That's all you've heard for the last 2 weeks, Indiana. And so Indiana scraped up enough money to be able to say, okay, let's go. We got 133 million. Now Phoenix says, well, damn, we can't just let him walk. This was the number one pick in the draft a few years ago. And he was a big reason why we made it to the finals 2 years ago. And he was a big reason why we were still one of the top teams in the Western Conference. So now you got to pony up 133. So the guy you didn't want, he's coming back, and nothing you can do about it. And now you're out of the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, because, like you said, it can't be done until the new year.
Right. And how about the job that Monty Williams faces now? They made it clear that they didn't think DeAndre Ayton was a max player. Now Monty Williams has got to do some damage control, because remember, they benched him in the second half of that blowout loss to the Mavericks. And now he's got to say, oh, DeAndre, we love you. We love you. You're going to help us win a championship this year. That's going to be a kind of an interesting challenge for Monty Williams.
Well, I don't really think it was so much Monty. I think Chris Paul had a say so in that.
Sure.
Some of the veteran players. When you have a talent like that, that kid can be dominant, and they didn't utilize him. They were taking a lot of threes, when they were winning. And, we talked about that, when they're front runners and they're winning, they're one of the best teams in the league. But when adversity hits, as you saw in that Dallas series, they have the series lead. They're talking trash. They're picking fights, trying to embarrass Luka Doncic. And then you wake up a sleeping giant, and all those players that play, Jalen Brunson, Max Kleber, Finney, all those guys have built up so much confidence in the Utah series, another series they weren't supposed to win. And they go in there and they win a game without Luka, who missed the first 2 games of the series. Any other superstar like that misses 2 games in the series, you're down 0-2, okay? No chance to win. And they went in and they won that series, so they're confident. They come into Phoenix, a game 7, and Phoenix is at home. No way in the world you see Phoenix losing that game, get blown out. They were down at one point 40 plus.
Yeah, they just quit too.
In a closeout game at home.
Yeah, that was something. Hey, the other big story in the NBA is that the Utah Jazz are really going to blow up that team. They already traded Rudy Gobert to Minnesota. Now the news comes out that they'll listen to trade offers on Donovan Mitchell, and the team that's really been lusting after Donovan Mitchell is the New York Knicks. He's from the New York area. They have a bunch of draft picks they can trade, and I've seen trade proposals where they're going to trade R.J. Barrett and 2 other players and 5 draft picks. I mean, it's gotten crazy how much teams are asking for it. I love Donovan Mitchell as a player, but he's not leading you to a championship all by himself.
Well, and I think the Knicks really don't want to part ways with R.J. Barrett. They realize they have a star in that kid. He's a foundational piece, and they really like to get rid of Julius Randle in his contract. But no one's taking that contract, okay? And, Utah is in really no hurry to make any deal, okay? This is what these teams panic. They panic. Oh, well, Kyrie doesn't want to play for us. We got to move him now. Kevin Durant wants to be traded. We got to move him now. Kevin Durant's got 4 more years. If I'm the agent and the general manager, hey, buddy, I know you're frustrated. I know you're mad, but you're going to lace him up every night. You're going to do your job. You're going to collect your check on the 1st and 15th, and you're going to be right here in Brooklyn until we find a deal that suits us, not where you want to go. See, these guys, these players now, they have so much power, Mark. This guy gives you a list where he wants to go. I want to go to either Miami or I want to go to Phoenix. Well, it's not a coincidence. Those are pretty nice places to be during the winter months, okay? So I'm sorry, buddy. It's not like you're buying a ticket to the Bahamas. We're not now. Now, if we're going to trade you, if we trade you to Philadelphia and the package is for us, we'll trade you to Utah if the package is good enough for our franchise.
Right.
Generational talent guys. These are Hall of Fame guys. And you just can't just get rid of them just to get rid of them. You got to get something in return that's going to kind of soften the blow of losing that kind of talent. Can you get a guy back like that? Nope. okay? But we can put ourselves in position to be able to stay above water until we're able to get a superstar player at some point.
So all these talks are going on while the NBA holds its annual Summer League in Las Vegas. It's going to wrap up on Sunday, July 17th, with the championship game. The Young Bulls are doing okay. They won 2 out of 3 so far. They did get blown out in that one loss, but I thought Dalen Terry really showed some growth in the last game. You know, he had problems with turnovers in the first 2, but I think that the coaches might have talked to him and said, you know what, at this point, don't worry about trying to score. Stick to your strengths, cut to the basket, get to the free throw line, and I thought he looked more under control in Game 3 and showed the kind of player that he eventually is going to be in the league.
Well, I mean, playing in the Summer League myself, I understand what it's like to go there. And really, first rounders really shouldn't play but maybe 1 or 2 games. Simple as that. Because they're coming in knowing that you're drafted. You're not going to face a guy that's just going to, roll over and let you, dominate him. You're going to get an extra effort from everybody that you play in Summer League. And you may not be able to match their intensity right now, because this is the most intense situation you've ever been in. See, when you're in college and you're playing with other great players, you don't really understand the intensity that you face, because in college, you're not getting paid. It's not about money. In the NBA, it's job security. You're getting paid. Guys get cut. They make no money. They're playing overseas. So you're facing hungry people. So every time you step in the court in Vegas, you're going to get everybody's best game. And so that means you've got to raise your level of intensity up to be able to match what they're doing, to show them that, hey, yeah, I understand what you're trying to do, but you ain't busting my ass here. I'm coming at you. And that's what his mentality, I thought, in that game a couple of days ago, we saw that.
It's like the picture over your shoulder. It's the lion going after the sheep, right?
Yeah. Look, America. That lion is the lion. They consider him the black sheep, but it's a lion. In America, that's me. Okay, that's me standing out there with all the haters, and me and Mark.
That's right.
Mark, there's not a black wolf out there for Mark. Mark got eaten up by the sheep, but that's me right there, the lone black lion among sheep. Okay, the lion does not care about the opinion of sheep.
That's right.
That's my motto.
Hey, when we were playing Summer League, they played every day, didn't they? I mean, they didn't have this break, and guys were just like thrown out there, and you had no subs. I mean, it was crazy back then, wasn't it?
Hey, listen, man, I had the best time playing Summer League. I didn't really want to play, because my rookie year, I played all 82 games, and I felt like, Mark, I earned the summer off. Okay, I'm on the all-rookie team. I thought I proved that I needed some time off. Okay, I let Jerry Krause maneuver me into playing more games.
Stacey, we need you to go to LA.
I need you to play Summer League. The second half of Summer League, and I'm thinking to myself, Jerry, come on, bro. 82 games. I was only one of few first-year players to play all 82 games, and so I went out there because it was Los Angeles. Okay, it wasn't in Vegas like it is now. Okay, where it's so hot out there, Frosty the Snowman can't even go to a pool party. That's how hot it is out there. Okay, so in California, we had it at Loyola Marymount. That's where the Summer League used to be. And the difference between LA and Las Vegas is a good place to be a couple of days. Okay, how much gambling can you do before you say, man, I'm losing too much money, I gotta go. But in LA, there's so many things you can do. You can go out to the beach, you can go out to Manhattan Beach, you can go out to Santa Barbara. I mean, you can tour the city and really enjoy being in California. The weather is manageable. And, not to mention, the ladies were nice.
There you go.
The ladies are nice. Okay. I'm sorry about that, America. I got to, try to keep a happy home here. But yeah, but the Summer League was very beneficial. It's beneficial for everybody. But I think it's gotten to the point now where it's commercial. Now you're giving teams championships for winning a Summer League. You're getting a ring, Mark.
Yeah, I know that's insane. Just insane.
Winning the Summer League. That's why I say it's gotten too commercial. Everybody now, you got all the sponsors and everything, and it's just not the same as it used to be.
Yeah, take us back to when you were playing in the Summer League. You were an All-American, one of the nation's leading scorers at Oklahoma, and then you had all these Tim Kelley wannabes coming at you on the court trying to make their name against you. Did you have any experiences where you're like, man, get this buster off of me?
Hey, there was a lot of those experiences, okay? But I understood it, Mark, because it's like two pit bulls, okay? Two ferocious pit bulls, there's only one steak, okay? The two pit bulls ain't gonna say, hey, Mike, let me cut this steak in half. You take a piece, I'll take a piece. That's not how pit bulls do. The strongest pit bull is gonna dominate that steak, and the other one's gonna go off hungry, okay, with his tail between his legs. That's how Summer League is. And if you don't have that mindset to compete and understand where this ferocity is coming at you, because I'm not saying guys are jealous of your position, but what they look at you is a measuring point so they can show teams like, hey, I should have been a first round pick, or I'm better than your first round pick. So they're trying to come at me super hard and fouling you, grabbing you, getting you frustrated. I'm thinking, damn, I scored so much easier in college. I was like, man, I don't think I can score at this level. But it was fun, though. It was fun.
Yeah, but it wasn't the big production it is now. Now all 30 teams are there. Every game's on TV. Back then, there'd be guys on the court. They'd bring them on the court, maybe a half hour before the game going, hey, this team is short. We got to get you out there. And they'd have their numbers on with crayon, and they'd be wearing hush puppies. I mean, that was crazy, some of the guys you'd see playing Summer League back in the day.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, summer, I ain't gonna lie, man. So that Summer League was kind of like, it was kind of like a circus, to be honest with you.
It was.
I mean, you had free agent teams. Like, I don't think this Summer League has free agent teams.
No.
Where you have like a free agents come in, and they're all on one team, and they're playing against NBA guys. That's how it used to be. And you either had to be drafted by the team you played, or you signed as a summer free agent. But when you were in the Summer League, there were actual free agent teams, like multiple free agent teams, guys who've been overseas. They come in, form a team and a coach and play you. So you're going up against some really hungry dudes. We practice over in Inglewood, in gang infested environment. We're wearing red. We're not supposed to wear red. I remember we were going to a practice over in Inglewood High School. We damn near had to get naked because our Bulls colors were red. And so they were afraid. They were afraid to that we would get hurt wearing these red jerseys. So we're at the high school. We go into the high school, and the high school had these fences. So when you went in, they padlocked the fences, and then you go in. So there was two ways out, one entry and one exit. So they tied the fence together, and we had to wait. So our bus after practice wasn't there yet. So we were sitting outside, and the bus couldn't get in because the fence was locked, and no one had the key to unlock the padlock. So we come out of practice, Mark, and so the fence was a two-way fence. So it was like, it was two fences connected by a chain link, And so we had to climb the fence. We had to jump over the fence to get to the bus, okay? So Phil Jackson was like, we had Jerry Krause was there, Clarence Gaines was there, and me and BJ, and so we're getting ready to try to get over the fence. Everybody's climbing, all the free agents are climbing over, boom, boom. So Phil goes, hey, Jerry, I don't think you're going to make this climb. And so Jerry's a guy that didn't like to be told he couldn't do something. So Jerry was like, I used to, in the city of Chicago, I used to have to run from the games, and I used to jump over fences all the time. So I don't really know Jerry as well as I knew him later on. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking, he's got short little legs, short little arms. This is about a 7-foot fence. What are the chances of him making it? So
not good. He
gets up there, and tries. He gets his foot, and he tries to put his feet in the chain link fence, slips down a couple of times. Oh, God damn it. And so Clarence Gaines goes, hey, Jerry, we might have to get a crane to get you over. Now, Jerry's getting mad now because everybody's making fun of him. So the free agents don't want to laugh, Mark. Everybody in the back's like, okay? Me and BJ are cracking up. We're like, laughing. So I told the free agents, I said, hey, man, y'all can laugh. This is funny. He's like, I ain't getting cut. So no one will laugh. So Phil goes, all right, BJ, Stacey, help Jerry, over the fence. And so we're like, oh, Phil, come on, man. No, come on, man. This is not in our job description. There's no anywhere we can get him over the fence. Come on, man. And so me and BJ cup our hands together. We try to get him over the fence. So he gets up on the fence, and then he slips in between the fence. But Mark, my back went out. That's the reason why he slipped through the fence, because I gave up the hand thing. So I let him go. And so, because I thought he was going to put his foot through the fence and then get over.
Yeah.
But my back, he hurt my back. And so I let him go. It was a cold blue, Mark. I let him go. So he gets stuck into the fence. He's like a dolphin caught in the net. Ah, help me. So we help him out. So then he has this brilliant idea, Mark. You know the nylon ball bags that hold 6 balls, you know?
Yeah.
So Jerry has this brilliant idea that he's going to stand on the ball bag and get over, okay? And those nylon ball bags are hard. You can't even break those nylon bags, Mark, unless you got like a saw. That's how durable they are. So Jerry has this bright idea. I'm going to get on the ball rack and get over. So he gets on the ball rack, and once again, failure. The ball bag burst. Boom, basketballs flying all over the place, Mark. He once again stuck in the fence, wiggling. Ah, woo, help me. And we're all dying laughing. Everybody but the free agents. And so we ended up getting out. Jerry, we go to play Loyola that night. We had a game that night. So I can't play. This is the last game of summer league. I can't play. So I'm in there with Chip Schaefer because Chip Schaefer was the Loyola Marymount trainer at the time. And we were auditioning. He was auditioning for the head trainer job because Mark Fowle went somewhere else. So Chip's in there putting ice on my back, stem and stuff. So Jerry comes in. He says, you can't go. I'm like, nah, Jerry, you messed my back up, dude. I can't go. He's like, what? Are you okay? I said, I don't know, Jerry. It's like really tight. I can't even stand up. So then Jerry goes, instead of Jerry going, okay, all right, take the night off. Everything's cool. Jerry was because he knew I was a prankster. He knew that I was a storyteller. And once I got this story, it was going to get to the rest of the guys back in Chicago, Michael, Scotty, Horace. So Jerry comes back and he says, hey, he's like, look, whatever you do, don't tell Michael Jordan this. And then, of course, Mark, yeah. The witty Stacey King says, oh, don't worry about it, Jerry. I'm not going to say anything. I got back to the multiplex on the Monday. My back was still hurt, but I limped in there, Mark. I told everybody. It was a running joke for a long time, man. And Jerry knew I did it too. Jerry's like, I can't believe you told. I was like, Jerry, it was so funny. I had to, man. I had to. Another great story from the great Stacey King about Summer League.
Hey, we're going to talk more NBA coming up in our later segment, but coming up next, we got a special treat for you. Dallas Mavericks play-by-play man Chuck Cooperstein is going to tell us some stories about Luka Doncic, about Mark Cuban, about all his experiences broadcasting in the great state of Texas. So that's coming up on Gimme the Hot Sauce. But Stacey, I know you're not traveling right now, but if people need to get somewhere special, you can point them in the right direction, can't you?
Oh, Mark, you already know, Mark.
Hey, that's what I do for a living, Stacey. I just lay it up for you, you know?
Mark, hold on, Mark. Let me get my read.
Oh, man, I gave you a minute intro, and then you still didn't have it.
Mark, you got me, Mark. You got me. Hold on. Oh, Lord, it's not coming out, Mark.
Well, I'm going to tell the folks about the good people at Windy City Limousine. They always provide Stacey and all their special guests and anybody who gives them a call some championship service. Making a reservation is so easy, it's like a slam dunk. Let Windy City break the full court pressure of traffic in the Chicago area and get you to your destination in style and on time. Make sure to contact them at 866-94-WINDY. That's 866-94-WINDY. And Stacey can give you his personal testimonial that they do great work. Right, Stacey?
Mark, you know what? Before I even give that, I just want to be, I'm just impressed with the way you handle these reads. This is the first time I didn't fall asleep when someone else read it.
There you go.
So, you kept me engaged the whole time, with the way you read it. When Whispers does it, I literally fall asleep. Okay, it's the most boring reader that I've ever seen in my life. Like if I was his son and you were telling me a bedtime story, I'd just be like, Dad, just stop. I'm just going to go to sleep.
I'm ready to go.
I'm done.
Whispers gone, but not forgotten. Coming up next, Chuck Cooperstein joins the show here on episode 88 to Give Me the Hot Sauce. Episode 88 to Gimme the Hot Sauce rolls on. It's now our pleasure to welcome in a very special guest. He is Chuck Cooperstein, the radio play-by-play voice of the Dallas Mavericks. And what an exciting run it was for Dallas. That Game 7 against Phoenix was one of the most surreal things I've ever seen. Why don't we start there? I mean, not only does the Mavericks go in there and kick their butts, but Phoenix was so stunned. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that in watching sports all my life. Well, what was your experience like calling that game?
Well, especially after, losing the first game by 7, but trailing by double digits for a lot of the game, losing the second game by 21, giving up 40 in the fourth quarter, losing the third time in Phoenix in Game 5 by 30, losing 110-80. Who could have expected that? Even after the Mavericks won convincingly in Game 6, I've never seen anything like it. Yeah. I've never seen a team score 27 points in a half, especially a team that had won 64 games in the regular season, a team that was basically on its own mission to complete what they could not do the year before. They should have won the championship in 2021. They didn't do it, and they came out and in a lot of ways actually ultimately reminded me a lot of the 2007 Mavericks, who lost to Miami in the finals. They should have won that series. And then the next year they go out after losing the first 4 games of the year. They wind up winning 67 games, but then lose in the first round of the Warriors. They didn't complete the deal, and it took them 4 more years to ultimately win their championship. What does that mean for Phoenix now? I mean, I don't know, but the Mavericks were certainly ready to play. They were certainly not awed of the circumstances, and I think when they came out punching in Game 7, that Phoenix didn't really know what hit them. And I think I said, I may have tweeted after the game, I think the most, as crazy as it was, I think you could hear the absolute astonishment in my voice every time the lead went from 10 to 15 to 20 to 25. It's 30 at halftime. They've given up 27 points. What do you say? I mean, it was the inflection of the voice, I think, that I will always take from that game. And look, they gave it their best shot. They ran out of gas against Golden State, which played them extremely well. Their defense kind of failed them in the Golden State series, and now they know they got a taste of the real stuff, and now they want a whole big bite out of it. Going forward this year, although it's going to be really, really difficult. The Western Conference is just totally loaded.
Well, the one thing I took away from that series with Phoenix is that, all the talking that, Booker and all those guys were doing that upset Luka. I remember after the game, they're walking off and Luka had made some comment, talk when you have a lead or something he said to that point. And when I saw him do that, it brought back MJ DNA. That's something MJ would do. That's something Larry Bird would do. Like, okay, you want to talk trash? Now you done woke me up, and now I'm getting ready to make you pay. And I thought that was kind of the turning point of the series.
It was kind of like in the 2011 finals when Dwayne Wade and LeBron did their fake cough on Dirk. Dirk said, you want to do that? Okay, kids, here we go. And the Mavericks ultimately won that series. But there was a lot to that. Yeah, don't poke the bear unless you absolutely have to poke the bear. But there really wasn't any reason for that. But, I think as the series went on, the Mavericks had a way, they had figured out how to play against both Paul and Booker, which they had a very difficult time with. Especially, in the games in Phoenix. I mean, I guess the amazing part of that series ultimately was that none of the games were competitive. No, in fact, the only time that they were actually in a quote unquote clutch situation, as defined by the NBA, was in the final 10 seconds of Game 1, after the Mavericks had rallied from 18 down. Luka got it down to a 5-point game with 10 seconds to go. They fouled. There were 2 free throws left. That was the only time in the series that in the fourth quarter, the game was within 5 points. And again, it really didn't matter at that point. There wasn't enough time.
You've got a courtside seat to watch Luka every night. And I think for the average fan, they don't know quite what to make of him. You know, here's this 6'7" guard who can do so many things on the court, and yet at times he'll dominate the ball. He'll take crazy shots. He seems to argue with the referees on just about every call, and his coaches have gotten on him. I know for that. What is the real Luka Doncic like that you've come to know over the last few years? We know he's an intense competitor, but is he a good teammate? Is he a guy that his teammates gravitate to?
Absolutely. And again, I wish I was around them more, but I haven't traveled for the last couple of years with the team either. So, you know, our exposure to them is far more limited than it was pre-pandemic. But it's clear that they love playing with him. It's clear when you see a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith and a guy like Jalen Brunson basically playing with him and having their games elevated because he has put them in a position to succeed and ultimately get paid. And I think everybody does like that in the NBA and in any professional sport. And they see how competitive he is, and they know that when he is at his best, they will always have a chance to win. And in fact, on a lot of nights, a really good chance to win. And there are very few players in the NBA that you can say that about. So, you know, he's great off the floor. You know, there's fun in that locker room, and he's a part of that. And he, you know, they know that he is their meal ticket. And so they're all ready to do whatever they can to help him. And as a result, he knows that even with his 38 to 40% usage rate, which is way too high, he knows that he needs them. He knows, you know, certainly, you know, go back to the Clippers series in the bubble, or not even a little bit in the bubble, but certainly the year before in 21 when they had the 2-0 and 3-2 leads in that series, and there wasn't enough help there. And Luka basically had to do everything, and ultimately it wasn't enough. And you see what happened in the playoffs this year. You know, Jalen Brunson, when Luka was out, had those monster games against Utah, but, you know, had a phenomenal series. I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith was a 44% three-point shooter in the playoffs this year. You know, Reggie Bullock was a tremendous defender and clutch three-point shooter. And those guys were playing more minutes than Luka was. In fact, I think at the time that the Mavericks ultimately were eliminated, I think they played the second and third most minutes per game in the playoffs. They were heavily relied upon. So he got a lot of help, but obviously, you know, when you're playing against the Golden States of the world, you need more help. And I think ultimately that's, you know, what the Mavericks are trying to do. And I think everybody knows that. So, hey, let's get to October and let's play.
Well, I you know, one of the things I remember seeing him as a rookie, we played him in a preseason game, and I was talking to Derek Harper about Luka, and I said, man, he just reminds me of Larry Bird. You don't ever hear anybody comparing Larry Bird. It's always Michael, Magic, or something. You never hear players, and it's not just because he's white. It's just the way he plays the game and how he makes everyone around him better. And the one thing I took away from the conversation with D Harp was when Rick Carlisle would get on him, you know, as a rookie, he would just look at him like, really? Like, I'll do what you need me to do, but I'm still going to do what I do. And he didn't back down from being the player that he is and what everyone saw in Europe when he was one of the best players as a teenager in Europe. His game didn't change. And most guys change a little bit when a coach gets on them and says, okay, you're dribbling too much or you're shooting too much. He just stayed true to himself. And Derek Harper said, Rick Carlisle just realized, I gotta leave this kid alone. He's special. Well,
and that's when, you know, the Mavericks made the trade for Porzingis. And they, traded Dennis Smith away and gave Luka the keys to the car. And listen, on some level, Rick was not wrong when it comes with Luka. He does play at his own pace, and you know the Mavericks sometimes do play too slowly, and they do get themselves into situations where they're late in the shot clock and they don't get the ideal shot. And sometimes his handle is a little loose, and he does throw soft passes, and there are unforced turnovers that or avoidable turnovers. And listen, that used to drive Rick insane. I know it drives Jason Kidd insane, but I guess on some level, because he is as good as he is, you have to live with that. But it does make you wonder if he ever really did tighten up that aspect of his game. I don't think anyone would ever expect him to be Chris Paul and have an assist to turnover ratio of 4-1. But if Luka was closer to 2.5-1, or 2.75 to 1, as opposed to basically around a little over 2 to 1. If he was better in that regard, I mean, how many more possessions would the Mavericks have, and how many more points theoretically he could score, the team could score, and maybe that means a few more wins. As great as he is, and he is, it's not like there aren't areas of his game that can't be cleaned up and can't be tightened up to make him even better than he already is.
Chuck, you've been working with the Mavericks for a long time, and of course everyone knows who owns the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban, who's been a controversial owner to say the least. He's been fined so many times by the league. He's run out on the court to challenge referees and opposing players. Has he ever gotten on you about anything you said on a broadcast? And do you have a favorite Mark Cuban story that you can share with our listeners?
Mark's been great to me. I mean, he's phenomenal to me. He trusts me to do my job and call the game as I see it. I've always taken the attitude of bringing an objective broadcast with a Mavericks point of view, because Maverick fans are listening. I'm not from the we, they, us school of broadcasting. I'm one who, there's no doubt, if you listen to me, you know which team I really do hope wins. But the guy is shooting 3 of 17. He's 3 of 17. I mean, that is an objective fact. As long, and Mark told me this even when I got the job back in the summer of 2005. He said, "Look, we know who you are, but just don't make it personal. There's a difference between doing a talk show and doing games. As a play-by-play guy, ultimately you are first and foremost a reporter. It's who, what, where, why, and when. All the stuff that we all learn in first year of journalism school.
Right.
But at the same time, we need to be entertaining, and we need to be able to keep our audience as long as we can possibly keep them. I mean, look, I would love to think that my skill and my talent and the quality of my team would allow people to stay with me for all 2.5 hours of the game. I know that's not true. I know that just doesn't happen. But Mark has let me be me, and I couldn't ask for anything more out of any boss, and ultimately he is my boss.
Talk a little bit about what the Mavericks plans going into next season, because you taste the Western Conference Finals, you lose Jalen Brunson, a key member of that team, in free agency. Where do they make up for that, and do they continue to try to better that by adding pieces this summer?
Well, they have one roster spot left. So I think they're probably waiting to see, what sort of shakes out from the Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell world. But, I think it's July 14th today. I think losing Brunson and not yet replacing him is something that they're looking at, but something that they probably feel they could fill today, or they could fill a week before training camp starts. I think those players, that extra ball handler who can run an offense and get for 10, 12 minutes a game is. I think it's something that's really valuable. I think, last year, Jason talked about it. Rick had even talked about it before he left the team. I want to have multiple ball handlers on the floor, and in a lot of ways to try to take some of the heat off of Luka, even if ultimately the ball winds up back in Luka's hands at some point. Does Luka have to bring the ball up the floor every time? Can you have other people do that and have Luka start from the block or start from the wing? There's a pet play that the Mavericks run basically to start almost every game, where Luka will be on the left side of the floor, basically around the block, and there'll be a guard that comes and pins down, and then he comes up and gets a dribble handoff and circles right and gets himself in the lane and shoots a floater. I mean, we know it's coming every game. Can't really stop it. But again, it's an example where he doesn't necessarily have to start with the ball in his hands. And I think that ultimately that is their goal. How they achieve that, I'm not really sure right now. Is it another ball handler? Do they feel like the addition of Christian Wood who handles it pretty well for a big guy. He's never been, a great passer and guess get others involved as well. I mean, he's never been a high assist. He's not Jokic. Let's put it that way. He's not Jokic. Yeah. But can he do something? Can they run their offense, from the block with Christian Wood, and then have some movement that way? But it's so hard to see them doing a whole lot different. Even if I think in the playoffs, you kind of have to do some things different because you're just so well scouted at that point. But when you have someone who is as effective in the pick and roll game as Doncic is, I mean, he's just absolutely devastating, whatever metric you want to use. And you have a guy like Christian Wood or JaVale McGee who are able to set screens, roll, and finish. It's pretty hard to go away from that. You kind of want the ball in Luka's hands at that point.
Chuck, you mentioned Dirk Nowitzki earlier in our interview. What was it like for you chronicling the best parts of his career?
Phenomenal. Just what an incredible player, grossly underappreciated, I think, throughout his career. And an even better person if it's possible. If you can be a better person than you are a player at that level, that's Dirk. I was incredibly fortunate, and I have been incredibly fortunate that I had 14 years of Dirk, and now I have Luka, following up on that. And there's no desert for me when it comes to high drama moments and the ability to produce under pressure. He's the franchise. We have his banner in the rafters. It's going to be a statue that's going to be out in front of the American Airlines Center probably sometime next year. Whatever Dirk wants, if Dirk says he wants it, it's like he says jump, we all say how high, and we're all happy to do that.
Chuck, let's switch gears a little bit. Growing up in Oklahoma, I'm a big football. Football's king. Texas football is king as well. Let's talk a little bit about that 1988 Dallas Carter football team, which is considered one of the greatest high school teams ever. It had so many, I've seen the documentary. People have seen that documentary on their story. How was it covering that team and being in Dallas at the time where this team was almost as big as the Dallas Cowboys as far as like a high school team, and all the things that happened after they won that state championship, the trouble that these kids got into, and which was a sad story.
Yeah, it was. I was working at KRLD News Radio at that time. I was never a big high school guy. I came from New York. We know nothing about high school football in New York. So it was an education for me coming to Texas and figuring that out. But I never got myself in so deep that it ultimately that it affects me. I still have a hard time understanding how the performance of 16-year-olds can materially affect the life of 45 and 50-year-olds. If the high school team wins, then these adults are somehow happy. They're living vicariously through those kids. And I never think that kids should be subjected to things like that. And so I've had a really difficult time, and had a difficult time, still do, really, with that. But as a news story, it certainly was remarkable. The back and forth in the courts, every week, during the playoff that year, are they going to play? Are they not going to play? When is this going to get done? I mean, I think in the fourth round, I think it was, they ultimately didn't know until the morning of the game they were actually going to be able to play that night. It was insane. But Stacey, as you say, the talent level, led by Jesse Armstead, was, it was an NFL high school team that was, in the future, right? 4 years later, a bunch of those guys were going to the NFL. And then, you had that and all the glory that comes with that. And then you have the other side of the coin with Derek Evans, who probably was, if not the top cornerback recruit in the country. It didn't take long before the roll was called. He did the signing day in the hot tub.
Yeah.
And then he and Gary Edwards get into trouble, and all heck breaks loose, and it's it was a very instructive story as it relates to the level of the intensity of football in the state of Texas. There was certainly the racial component that was involved there that could not be ignored. As Dallas Independent School District had become more and more African American, Latino, and a lot of white flight. And this team was bringing pride back to DISD. So you had that element of it, and then you had just the pure football talent that if you were just taking all of that aside and watching that and thinking, my God, this is a high school team. No, this is a team that they could win games at the Division I level. That's how good they were.
But Chuck, you've had a remarkable career going from that. You've called college football and basketball in the great state of Texas, covered in the Big 12 conference, and now at the Mavericks, as you mentioned, from Dirk to Luka, the championship in 2011, and more great years ahead coming up for the Dallas Mavericks. And we thank you so much for joining us as our special guest here on Give Me the Hot Sauce.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you having me. Have a great summer.
Thank
Chuck,
you.
I will see you when we come to the Big D, big guy.
There you go. I will see you, man. Take care.
All right, buddy. Thanks again.
All right. Bye.
Chuck Cooperstein joining us on episode 88 of Give Me the Hot Sauce. Coming up next, we're going to spray to all fields as we wrap up the show. Keep it right here. Episode 88 to Give Me the Hot Sauce rolls on. We want to thank some of our great sponsors who've supported us for what seems like years, Stacey, but it's only been about 18 months we've been doing the show. We're having a great time. One of the guys who's been with us on the ride, our friend Jeff Vukovic. When it comes to insurance for your auto, home, and business, make sure you contact the king of insurance. That's Jeff Vukovic. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. Stacey's got the gum going. He's convalescing, but I think the Golden Pipes are still ready to roll, right?
Nationwide is on your side.
Stacey always delivering. It doesn't matter what kind of condition he's in, how many times he's had to go to the doctor. He is ready to roll.
Hey, I'm like the old Chevy truck, baby. It never goes wrong. You start it up, no matter if it's a dead of winter or it's been sitting for 6 months, you start it up, it's going.
Absolutely. Stacey's a trooper, no question about it. And one guy who's been through the NBA wars is Goran Dragic. We talked about last week when he agreed to a deal with the Bulls that he'll be remembered forever on Stacey and Neil's call of the Derrick Rose dunk. But now he's going to be a member of the Chicago Bulls, and it's kind of interesting. We had Chuck Cooperstein on. Everyone thought he was going to go to the Mavericks because he and Luka are both from Slovenia, and they thought that it'd be perfect that Goran could back up his countrymate. But Dragic gave an interview to media in Slovenia a couple days ago, Stacey, and he said the reason why he didn't go to Dallas is they wouldn't guarantee him a meaningful role. He said in his talks with the Bulls, they promised him he would play 20 to 25 minutes a game, backing up Lonzo Ball at the point guard spot, and immediately that sets off alarm bells in your head like they got 6 or 7 guards. Where are they going to get 20 to 25 minutes for Goran Dragic?
Well, I've been trying to work up on my Slovenian. Unfortunately, the app's not working. I don't have that language in there. So I don't know. I don't know if he said, I don't know if that's true, Mark. I just find that hard to believe that the Bulls would guarantee someone, a free agent, 20, 25 minutes, especially a guy who's been injured the last couple of years and hasn't played consistently due to injury. I think that if there was a promise, I would see, if you would say, did the Bulls promise anything, would be the opportunity to be a backup point guard. And, and probably be on the lines of, if Lonzo needs rest, injuries not healing or whatever, more minutes will be there for you. It's hard for me to believe that AK and Mark would guarantee someone, because you can't guarantee those minutes. Because what if Io is playing well? Io's coming off being on the second team all rookie team and showing you that he's the point guard of the future. You got Terry. Terry's going to be a guy that will be like Io. He's going to have to work his way into the rotation. He's not going to factor into the rotation. But you got Alex Caruso. You got Kobe White, who's still on the roster. They haven't traded him. Io, where Zach and DeMar are locked in at the 2 and 3. Okay, so that means there's really only one position for all the rest of these guys to play is point guard. And how can you guarantee someone 20 to 25 minutes a night when you have guys like Caruso and Io, who showed the coaching staff last year that they are those guys coming off the bench? They can play 30, 35 minutes off the bench.
Yeah, we had put out a poll question, Stacey, asking our fans who they thought would lose minutes, and we put the options as being Dragic, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, or Dalen Terry. And the results that we came in, 51% of the people thinks that Kobe White will be the guy that's going to be on the losing end of this. And really, you can't play 5 or 6 guards, so somebody's going to have to sit and watch.
Well, the good thing about Terry is Terry's 6'7", so you can play him at 2 guard and 3, small forward. So I think that's where he's going to get a majority of his minutes this year because of his length and his athleticism. I don't see him playing point guard. It's in that old adage, Mark, where the more ball handlers you have on the floor, the more dangerous you are. I think it's going to be something like that. So you throw Dalen Terry out there at 6'7" at a wing position that can handle the ball like a point guard. Patrick Williams at the power forward that can handle the ball. You're going to have 4 players on the floor at any given time that can handle the ball. And so, but as far as like I said, I don't know. You start seeing these stories, Mark, where some of these reporters they put out fake news, and then people go with it and believe it, and then someone else writes something else on it, and then you're like, find out later that it was a fake, it didn't count. I just can't. I find it hard to believe that AK and Mark would guarantee someone 20, 25 minutes with the guards that we already have in the stable.
Yeah, well, supposedly, again, we don't know exactly the validity of those reports, but these are quotes from Dragic saying that he was promised that time. So we'll see how that all shakes out. And one of the things that Chuck Cooperstein said was the fact that they're keeping a roster spot open to maybe try to find a guy who gets caught in the kind of the wash of the whole Kevin Durant trade and a possibility of Donovan Mitchell being traded. Because if these are 3 or 4 players for one, guys are going to be getting cut, and all of a sudden somebody might be available that you really like, and you could make a move on them. And there's also two months plus until training camp. So even though the Bulls roster is set with 15 guaranteed contracts, doesn't mean they couldn't trade Kobe White sometime between now and the end of September when training camp starts.
Well, he's a piece. I mean, he gives the Bulls options. I still think a lot of people are down on Kobe, don't believe in Kobe, okay? I'm not one of those guys. I believe Kobe is not a point guard. He's a combo guard. He's more of a shooting guard than he is a point guard. And I think they need to, in my personal opinion, is to get him going in that direction. I know he was a point guard in North Carolina, but even in North Carolina, he wasn't a point guard. He was a scoring point guard. So put him in those positions, put him in positions to succeed. Give him a defined role. Say, hey, you're going to be our 6th man. He knows every night he's coming off the bench as a 6th man like Jamal Crawford, Ben Gordon, Lou Williams, and you're going to get us buckets. You go out there and get us buckets, get us going, you're going to play big minutes for us off the bench. And I think if you put him in a role, define his role, Mark, I think he will grow into that role because, listen, every young player wants to be a star in this league. Everybody wants to be a star. Unfortunately, there's only a few that can do it. But there's other ways that you can help a team and allow yourself to be part of something special. Jalen Brunson is the prime example. He's playing along Luka. This guy was a 2nd-round pick. He just got $26 million a year playing a role with Luka. So you can get paid and still be productive in this league. You don't always have to be the number one option.
You've been watching the Summer League games like a lot of Bulls fans, and we've seen the performances of Dalen Terry and Justin Lewis and Marko Simonovic, but there's a big guy coming off the bench I know caught your attention. Makur Maker.
Yeah. Maker.
Makur Maker.
Makur Maker.
Yeah.
I like that kid. I saw him when I saw him the other night. I like the way he runs the floor. I like the way he uses athlete. He can handle the ball. He can shoot it. He was playing in Australia last year. The G League wanted him to play in the G League. This kid was a top 5 high school player a couple of years ago. Decided to go to the HBCU, Howard.
Yeah. And
wanted to go that route. Didn't work out for him. Kind of fell out of the radar. Had to go play overseas instead of staying in the G League. And had he stayed in the G League, I think he would have got drafted. Because when you look at him, he's got size, length as a 7-footer. He can block shots. He's raw, just like any 20-something-year-old kid. They're raw. This is what development's all about. You have to develop. Everybody's not going to be a finished product, Mark. And I think a lot of these teams look at these kids coming out, and they're not realistic expectations. They expect a guy to be like Banchero. Banchero's a finished product right now. He's NBA ready. But there's going to be a lot of those kids who went high in the draft I think Keegan Murray is a finished product. I think he's ready to play right now. He's showing you. I think Ivy in Detroit is another kid that's going to come in ready to play from day one. But there are going to be a lot of kids, Mark, that were drafted high. It's going to take a couple of years for them to figure it out. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of teams, they want finished products. They don't want, even though they draft on potential and ceiling, they want those kids with potential and ceilings to be ready to play from day one. And that doesn't always happen. And then teams give up on guys like a Bamba. You're just going to let him walk. DeAndre Ayton, you're going to let him go out and get a restricted free agent thing and say, go out there and get something. We know you're not worth it. And then whatever you will match it. Well, now you got to match 133. So someone out there appreciated what Ayton did, Indiana, and gave him an offer sheet. Now, the people who didn't want him in the first place, now is forced to pay it or they lose him for nothing.
Yeah, and I know in calling the G League games last year that there's roster spots that are open. The general manager of the Windy City Bulls, Josh Krybick, does a really good job, but a kid like McCord Maker would be fantastic if they can get him to the G League squad. There's a lot of teams that are trying to figure out what to do with those two-way spots right now. The Bulls have already given one to Justin Lewis, the young guy from Marquette, who's looked good in the summer league. Malcolm Hill is the other two-way player, but it doesn't mean you can't invite a guy to training camp and make a decision after that, because it's always, at the end, Stacey, it's got to be competition. The best guys get the roster spots, and if you have to eat a little money along the way, so be it.
Well, I think the one thing you see with this kid, also being the fact, Mark, that he's raw. But the one thing that the upside of this kid, he's 7-footer. He can play multiple 4 or 5 position for you. He can shoot threes. He showed you can shoot the three. He can run the floor. And when I saw him the other night, and then I saw him against Toronto, I think, when they blew him out, the first thing that crossed my mind was Pascal Siakam. He just reminded me of a bigger Pascal Siakam. I'm not saying he's like that now. If you remember Pascal when he first came to the league, he was raw too.
Sure, he played in the G League.
Yeah, he played in the G League, and he had to grind his way and improve his game. But the thing about it was Dwayne Casey does a great job of really scouting those African players. He always hits a home run with the African players because he does that. NBA without boundaries or borders or something. Yeah,
basketball without borders.
He's seeing players from Africa that other coaches are not going over there to see because they're not named players. They're not someone that you go, oh, we want to go see, Chet Holmgren in Gonzaga that you already know about. These are kids that no one knows about. So you're going to, those kids come in, they're hungry. They're trying to, did you see the Giannis Antetokounmpo story?
Oh, I did, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was great. Really well done.
Okay, and there's hundreds of those guys
sure.
over there that are just like Giannis, that are hungry, that will do anything to get over to America to play in the NBA. And you just got to find it. I think, Maker is a kid that if gets in the right system and gets under the right development, could be something special in a couple of years.
Yeah, hopefully the Bulls get a chance to bring him on their G League squad. That would really be a good move to add to their depth with Marko Simonovic playing at the center position. Hey, a couple of quick hitters before we go, but before we do that, this is Tim Kelley's favorite read, and Whispers, this is in honor of you. I want to tell you about the good friends at Angel Water, Chicagoland's largest water conditioning service. Chicagoland water can have chromium-6, pesticides, E. coli, and all kinds of other nasty stuff. Water makes up 60% of your body, 75% of your brain. Call Angel. They'll test your water for free with the code KING21. So call 847-382-7800 for a free water test and healthy water plan. Make sure to use the code KING21. It's what Tim Kelley has used for over 20 years. And with an endorsement like that,
I'm just going to say, you made me just want to go out and get some Angel water.
That's right.
That read was so inspiring. And I think I'm going to go order some Angel water.
That's right. We encourage everyone to do that.
Yeah. So when Tim reads that read, I don't really want to order it because I'm asleep halfway through the read, so I don't even know what he's reading.
Yeah, we want to slip him a glass filled with E. coli when he reads that.
but Mark, I'm up the whole time when you're reading because I'm excited to hear what you got to say. But Tim, oh, you want some Angels? We're doomed. We'll never make it. Why are we here?
But, Timmy Whispers has his fan base. People love him, and we love him too.
Yeah. Listen, man.
Just not really good at doing the ad reads.
The show is not the same without Timmy Whispers.
No, that's for sure.
You know what? Listen, the guy says 2 words every show.
But he always gets a laugh. Guaranteed to get a laugh.
They're impactful. That's what it's all about.
You know who else is impactful is Ozzie Guillen, our friend, former player and manager with the White Sox. Now he's challenged the sports writer John Heyman to a fist fight for charity because Heyman criticized him for saying that he was trying to get Tony La Russa's job by criticizing him on the postgame show. Ozzie doesn't care who's signing his checks. He's not worried about it. He'll say whatever he wants on the pre- and postgame shows.
Hey, he reminds me of Norm Van Lier.
Yes, he does.
Norm Van Lier was like that. Norm Van Lier didn't care if the Bulls paid him, Comcast paid him. He was going to say what he wanted to say, his opinion. If you don't like it, tough, don't listen. And Ozzie's the same way. I will say this, because I saw that explosion on TV. And I was just sitting there for a second. I was just like, wow, like that's kind of harsh. That's kind of harsh. You know, Tony La Russa's been taking some on the chin lately. Okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought it was a little hard from Ozzie. But if you know Ozzie and you understand, like, this is him. It doesn't matter if it was Tony La Russa, if it was, anyone else, he would have done the same thing. So that's why people who know him, guys who played with him, know that he would have done that for anybody. And he's not trying to get the job. I know some people would think that, and there's got to be some kind of loyalty to that. But when you're an analyst, man, there's a fine line. You know, you heard Chuck Cooperstein talk about, Mark Cuban, telling him, hey, do what you got to do, but don't make it personal. And that sometimes I think that has to go to everybody. You have, as a broadcaster, you got to be fair, but you also got to be, you got to be truthful. You can't hide things when other people want you to hide it. Sometimes those things, Mark, nobody wants to talk about. You know what I'm saying? It's uncomfortable. But Ozzie's not afraid, man. I give him credit.
Stacey, you brought up our good friend Norm Van Lier, and sitting next to him all those years doing pre and post, there were times where I'd be sitting right next to him. I mean, he's literally right next to me, and I can see the twitch in his forehead, and I know, oh no, what is he going to say now? And I'm always thinking about either they're going to take us off the air or all of us are going to lose our job with what Norm was going to say. And you could just see it coming. You couldn't stop him because he was going to say whatever he wanted to say. And you knew it came from the fact that he played basketball a certain way. People remember him and Jerry Sloan, that great Bulls backcourt that would knock your teeth out, when the game was as physical it was back in the 60s and 70s. And Norm thought that the game should be played a certain way, and damn it, if they didn't, people were going to hear about it. And Ozzie's the same way.
He coached the same way in Rockford. There's stories in Rockford, when I went up there to coach, I remember a guy telling me, hey, you're not going to be Norm Van Lier, are you? And fight the players. I'm like, what? Fight the players? He said Norm at halftime came in the locker room, and one of the players mouthed off to him. And so Norm basically told everybody to leave the locker room except the guy. And let's just say Norm was the only one that came out of the locker room after that. I don't know if he got beat up to the point where he had to be in an ambulance. But let's just say the guy didn't come back after halftime. Norm came out looking as fresh as he did when he came in at halftime.
Yeah, I tell you, Norm coached high school basketball for a while at Mount Carmel. I mean, he coached in the CBA, as you mentioned, and, of course, he played a great career. Broke in with the old Cincinnati Royals and was traded to the Bulls, and he never changed all the way along the way. We miss Norm dearly each and every day.
Miss him terribly. Yeah. He would be so much fun on our podcast.
Yes, Norm.
He passed away before podcasts got big.
Right.
And I could actually see him having a podcast, Storm and Norman, and he would have been great as a guest on our. I would, matter of fact, I would have put him on the show because he's the guy that's not afraid to say what's on his mind. Ozzie would be another guy.
Yeah, we got to get Ozzie on here.
Yeah, we got to get. He told me he'll come. You told me he's coming. He's gonna come on. Him and Big Hurt.
Yeah.
She'll like it too.
They keep bringing out new commercials. One's wackier than the other. Now they got him walking down the street and Doug Flutie's throwing a football. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Hey, every time I see Big Hurt, I tell him, man, listen.
She'll like it.
You sound a little creepy. But hey, you getting paid, I don't care.
Hey, they must be selling a lot of product because those commercials keep coming.
Baby. Hey, men over 50 now listen to that commercial.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he says, they'll like it too, or she'll like it too. Everybody's buying it now. Like, say, Frank Frank said that she's gonna like it too. I'm gonna buy me a bottle today.
Yeah, now they got the one where they have a whole section of people in the bleachers saying, and she'll like it too. It's taken on a life of its own.
Oh,
and so
that one little phrase.
Yeah.
That one little phrase. She'll like it too.
And so as Stacey's stories. He told a story earlier, and if you missed it, go back and listen to it again about Jerry Krause trying to get over the fence in LA. One of our Twitch streamers has said, this is from Mahogany Woods Poppy, says, Stacey, Jerry never had the makings of a varsity athlete. So,
oh, come on.
Hey, he was a college catcher, I think, at Bradley.
He was Jerry. Listen, Jerry's an interesting story, man. Jerry was a ball boy at the high.
They're trying to censor Stacey. We've got a freeze in our stream here.
What?
Oh, you're back. Stacey's back.
Let's talk about him.
You're
talking about a freeze.
Yeah.
I just said that Jerry's an interesting guy. A guy who was a ball boy in high school, professional scout in baseball, and then coming back and being a scout in basketball and turning the program around, and doesn't get the credit he deserves. He should have a statue, honestly. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but Jerry Krause should have a statue somewhere in the United Center.
And very worthy.
He's just as responsible for those 6 championships than any of the players that played on those teams or any of the other coaches or anything. He should have a place up there in a statue somewhere. I know it won't be a big statue because Jerry was a little guy, but the fact he should have one.
Absolutely, and certainly deserving of that spot in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Hey, before we get out of here, we want to pass along our congratulations to one of our friends who appeared on our show a few months ago, Allie Quigley of the Chicago Sky. She won the three-point shooting contest, and she dusted the competition. She went last. She shot a 30 in the last round, and for people who followed the three-point contest through the years, normally the NBA, they're getting high teens, low 20s. Allie Quigley, now they have 2 4-point balls, which help now, but she had 30 points in the finals to win that. She won it 4 of the 5 times she participated, and like a great boxer, she said, that's it, I'm done, I retired, I won it at home, I'm not doing it again.
Well, I tell you what, I immediately text her. She's a friend of mine. And I told her, I said, damn, girl, you brought the hot sauce. I didn't give me the hot sauce, Allie. It was amazing because, Mark, the fact that the pressure of being at home, being a repeat champion, and then having to go second to a person that was hot. Mm-hmm. Like when you see someone get 20 or 20 plus, you're thinking, oh, it's over. Man, she stepped up there like a professional killer. No pressure at all. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And it just made it look so easy. And I was so happy for her. And I was so happy that the All-Star game was in Chicago.
Yeah.
And they got a chance to, women's game got a chance to shine. Chicago Sky got an opportunity to, be a big part of that. And Chicago is one, in my opinion, should be on every list for every All-Star game played. Baseball, hockey, the Pro Bowl should be here. WNBA, soccer, All-Star games. Because we have such a great fan base that appreciates sports, you're going to get the turnout. And it is such a wonderful city, no matter what time of the year it is. People can go downtown, restaurants, sightsee. We just have so much to offer. So I was really glad that WNBA got to put it on in Chicago.
Yeah, I got a chance to cover it, and it was a great event. Sylvia Fowles was retiring, got a breakaway dunk, which was really exciting for everybody. And James Wade was one of the coaches of the team. The Sky has the best record in the WNBA, and James says, "What's up, Stacey?" He really enjoyed his appearance on the show. So if you haven't caught that one, go back on YouTube. All our shows are posted there. Make sure you check out the episode with James Wade and with Allie Quigley earlier in the year. They were both great guests.
See, and I don't want to say that we're the reason why the Sky is doing well. But it's not a coincidence.
No, America. It's not.
It's not a coincidence. Everybody's doing well when they come on the show.
That's right. No question about it.
I got a message.
All right.
So I get a message from Aries Spears that was on our show.
Yeah.
So we gave him the hot sauce. Okay. Gave him bottles of hot sauce.
Yeah.
He has called me now 3 times asking me for the original red with the garlic.
Uh-huh.
He just I got hold on, man, Mark. I normally don't read texts, but I'm gonna read what he said. It was hilarious. He says, Stacey, it's official. You need to send me another bottle of the barbecue sauce and the garlic sauce. He says, I damn near drank that whole bottle like it was a smoothie. So I sent him back. I said, he goes, that's a fat man's baby formula. That's what he said. So we got to send him some more hot sauce, and he's gonna do a live taste test.
Oh, great!
So
yeah,
he really enjoyed it.
Well, we'll get the sauce packer Timmy Whispers back from his trip, and he can make sure he gets that sent out.
Yeah. You need to have it packed up tight.
And Stacey, why don't you tell the good folks at home how they can get their own special order of Stacey's signature hot sauces?
Well, listen, all you got to do, America, is stop buying Cholula and all the other BS out there. Go to GimmeTheHotSauce.com, GIMME, thehotsauce.com, or click a link on my bio on Twitter, Instagram Live, Twitter, wherever, and just hit the link. It'll take you directly to where we sell the hot sauce, and you have choices to get 1 bottle, 2 bottles, 3 bottles, 4 bottle conference, whatever bottles you want. We have an opportunity to get it, and it's 21% off. And just put in the code King21, and you'll get that discount. So as you see those beautiful bottles right there behind Mark.
That's right.
See how beautiful they are. Look at the color.
All lined up.
Zest.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, they're so zestful, and it's so pretty, and it's beautiful, and they taste great. And remember, you'll like it.
We got so many codes though, Stacey. The code for the hot sauce is hot sauce 21. So if you want to get a discount, you can go to GimmeTheHotSauce.com. Use the code HOTSAUCE21. You get 21% off your first order. It will be personally packaged with love by our own hot sauce packer, Timmy Whispers. We also have shirts, mugs, all kinds of swag. So go to GimmeTheHotSauce.com. We got the testimonial from Aries Spears. We're good to go.
Yes. And you know what? I get testimonials every day from people who buy it on Twitter. They just say, oh my God, this is the best hot sauce. In America, we're not just telling you, we're not just tooting our own horn, okay? I'm telling you right now, if you haven't bought a bottle of our hot sauce, you definitely have to buy it and taste it. It will be the best hot sauce that you'll ever taste. I had somebody the other day talk about they were barbecuing. They put it on their ribs and chicken. And they were like, man, I just ordered 6 more bottles of that. So it's very good. It's organic. You won't go wrong. Trust me, you'll love it.
Yeah, your guy YoungJordans says Melissa bought the hot sauce.
Yes, Melissa. I was on yesterday because, periodically, Mark, I jump on people's podcasts, okay? Because, we don't stand on top of the mountain, okay? Even though you have to crawl to get to the top to see us, I jump down sometimes, Mark. I'm like Zeus. I come down off the mountaintop and I go visit other people. I get on their podcast and I talk to them. So yesterday, I was on my boy YoungJordans podcast with a young lady named Melissa, and we had a great time yesterday. And we were talking about dogs and things, and we just had a great conversation. And I always tell these young podcasters, don't get frustrated. You got to go through a lot to get these things started. And I like to try to jump on people's show to help them get a kickstart, and we have fun. So shout out to my man YoungJordan. He's got a great little podcast. I think it's Nothing But Bulls, or hold on, man. Let me see. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
You'd be sending people to the wrong show.
Yeah, you know what? There's so many, man.
Yeah, there are.
But it just you got to make sure you say the right one, man. You got to make sure you say the right one. I'm trying to find the name right now, Mark. But Mark, don't be afraid to feel for that little 2 seconds till I find it. What kind of teammate are you? Jesus.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about what the Bears did this week. They bring in a reclamation project, N'Keal Harry from the New England Patriots. He was a first-round pick. They're going to bring him in as hopefully a training camp receiver to help with Justin Fields. I mean, he was a guy that did really well in the Pac-12, and hopefully a guy who's 6'4", who can play on kick return teams as well. So as we get 2 weeks away from the start of Bears training camp, they bring in a receiver that hopefully can add some depth and some quality to their group because
Mark, their receivers are starting to look pretty good.
Darnell Mooney is going to be really good this year.
Yeah, they're starting to get some speed. They're starting to get some size. targets. And you got to remember, they still got to Komet, the tight end is there. That's a good pickup.
Cole Komet, yeah.
So if their running game, is any kind of, positive for them, and they can keep, the quarterback up, Justin Fields up without getting sacked 100 times. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but they got a chance to develop something nice. And like I said, it's levels to this. So hopefully they'll get it going. But, my podcast name, America. See,
there you go.
There's so many. It's Nothing But Bulls Podcast. Okay. Nothing But Bulls Podcast. And it's a very good young show. It's in the infancy stages. Mark, we're trendsetters. Okay.
That's right.
We're trendsetters. Okay. We done jumped on YouTube now. We're on Twitch. Everybody's following our lead, baby. Because Nothing But Bulls Podcast had their first podcast on YouTube yesterday. So
there you go.
We are opening the door to all Bulls podcasts. They're following us, baby. Mark, we're the leader, baby. We're riding in first.
And Stacey, kind enough to jump on the show and spread his knowledge to all the listeners of YoungJordans Podcast. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate everybody who watched on YouTube and on the Twitch stream. And you can, of course, always catch us on your favorite podcast home and on YouTube. Anytime you want, you can access our entire library of shows. I want to thank Chuck Cooperstein for joining us today. We're going to have a special guest coming up next week. The pride of Lincolnshire Stevenson High School, Jalen Brunson, is going to jump on the show. Of course, he's been in the news signing that big free agent contract with the New York Knicks. So make sure to make your plans to join us next week as Jalen Brunson stops on by, Stace.
I'm looking forward to that. I've known Jalen for a long time, and I'm really excited for him. It's going to be a lot of responsibility going to New York, a little bit different playing in the Big Apple than it is in Dallas. And expectations, Mark. You know how it is in that city, boy. They'll boo you in a second.
Yeah, and he's got to deal with Tibbs. Ice, ice.
Ice. And they're shaking in the hand.
Yeah.
Jalen's a tough kid, though. He's been around this. He knows all about Tibbs. I just think it's the expectations that's going to come with a guy making $26 million a year that, I think that's going to be a lot of pressure on him. Because when you're in a big city like that, New York wants championships. They don't want to just make the playoffs or play.
Right.
They're used to winning teams, and the star player is under much more scrutiny. I mean, look at Julius Randle the last year. He's flipping off the crowd after being an all-star starter in 2 years ago. He's all flipping off the crowd. They're booing him every time he touches the ball. And Jalen is a tough-minded kid. I think he'll do well there, but I think it's the expectations of, signing a $100 million plus contract. And then also when people look at he's making $26 million a year, that's going to be something he's going to have to deal with. But I think he'll be fine.
So everybody check your social media accounts. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else. We'll send you a notice on when the episode with Jalen Brunson is going to drop. That's coming up next week on Gimme the Hot Sauce. So Stacey, be well. Take care of yourself. Don't overdo it. And hopefully we'll see you in the studio real soon.
I'll be back next week, Mark.
All right. Like Shane. Shane, come back.
I'm coming back, baby.
Give me the hot sauce. 88th in the books.
Drive on,